Hi, this is Graphically Alex coming at you with all things fat related. If that's something that interests you, please subscribe. I'd love to have you. Today we're going to cover this article by Aubrey Gordon. My best friend and I bonded over our fatness, then she got skinny. We both loved our fat bodies until she got weight loss surgery. I cannot even believe that this is the title, but before we get started, I want to make a quick announcement and I want to ask you guys for feedback about it. So I am going to be starting channel memberships in July, and I'm in more of a research phase right now, and I want to know what is something that you guys would want as far as perks. Like, what would you guys expect or want? Or like, those of you who are interested in a membership, what would be something that you would like, basically? I have some ideas, but I want to just ask you guys directly because I don't want to just assume, you know what I'm saying? So please let me know what you think about that. But anyways, I'm going to continue on with the video now. Okay. I was 18 the first time I met a fat sister in arms. It was my first semester of college, and we immediately gravitated toward one another, buoys in the choppy waters of an unfamiliar sea. That year, we became closer than either of us expected. Both of us had been the fattest kids in our high school classes, held at a distance from classmates by virtue of our bodies. So, I don't know. Already, I'm like, ugh, this is weird to me. So I feel like when a lot of people go to college, there's a group of people who don't want to be who they were in high school anymore. And for me personally, I had a little bit of that in me. Not necessarily like right when I started college, but around a year in, I really wanted to shed certain aspects. For me, it was really when I turned 20, I just decided like I want to live life completely differently than how I'd been living it, because I had been so extremely introverted during high school and so like adventure averse and just so like in my own mind and stuff in high school that I wanted to basically change everything. I also have to say too, like I really didn't like who I was when I was 20. And so some of my pursuit of changing things was a little bit toxic, I'm not going to lie. But I basically decided to throw myself into a lot of situations that were uncomfortable for me because I was so sick of trying to be comfortable from how I was as a teenager. Like that was how I was just always trying to be comfortable, basically. So when I turned 20, I made the decision to do the complete opposite and just start going out a lot and start doing things. And this did happen a lot, even a little bit before turning 20. But I was really sick of staying home all the time. And I was sick of not doing as much. And I had a lot of extroverted friends and stuff. And being introverted with a lot of extroverted friends, it's like you really sometimes feel like you're just so introverted. Does that make sense? So, and I felt that way too. Like I was very depressed and anxious. So I wasn't balanced. So it's a weird time. Being 20 is weird. If you guys are 20, if you guys are watching this or like 19 or 18 or whatever, like I remember it's a weird time and it's okay. It's very, very identity building. So don't worry about it in that sense. Like don't worry about messing up or whatever, because you probably will. Anyways, so basically, I could see this being a huge issue in regard to going to college because this friend probably wanted to shed a lot of aspects of her identity. And so I could see weight as being one of those things. I could absolutely see it 100,000%, especially if there's ED history there. Then she could possibly identify with her body being fat, right? Or really, really internalizing it as an aspect of her identity and then wanting to reject it and get it out immediately. Like there's a lot of those types of feelings when you're going to college or when you're getting out of high school or when you're coming of age, so to speak. Like you're turning 18, you're turning 20, like you're turning these like significant ages where it's like you're kind of crossing a threshold. And people feel that way. You know, I felt that way turning 30 too. You know, like when I turned 30, I was like, okay, I'm sick of being out of my comfort zone all the time. I'm tired of being miserable. I'm tired of constantly challenging myself and forcing myself into situations that are really difficult, or like I'm tired of constantly challenging everything, and I want to just enjoy my life. And I think that was like a big turning point when I turned 30. It was like kind of the opposite, because I feel like when I was 20, I was so just closed in. Like, I don't know how to describe it. Unless if you're super introverted, you probably wouldn't understand it. It's hard to explain. But I was very anxious and depressed because of it. And so by the end of my 20s, I was like, oh gosh, like I am so exhausted. I'm so tired of constantly doing this. I just want to build a nice life. I just want to enjoy life. So I can say it hasn't really worked out yet. But I do think by the end of my 30s, I'll probably be there, you know? So I don't know. I just think sometimes you go through certain ages and you have like that kind of thought process. And going into college is one of those. So I think it's stupid for Aubrey to assume that everybody was going to want to stay the same, just like her. I mean, I think it's actually a little bit abnormal. Anyways, let's continue. We'd both hoped college would be easier, but most of the time it felt familiar. The desks that weren't built for us, this was major for me. Oh my gosh, it was awful. Ugh, it was the same in high school though. It was horrible. Horrible, horrible, horrible. Classmates who stared openly at our bellies and thighs. I didn't have this very much in college. I had this at the gym though. Like I went to the campus gym and it was very like Greek dominated in the sense of like, you know, the sororities and fraternities and that kind of stuff. And they stared at me when I went to that gym. Like they felt like that was their turf, which is kind of messed up in my opinion. But it was one of the worst gym experiences I've ever had in my whole life was when I went to the campus gym. So I never went back. I can assure you that. The lengthy diet talk among classmates bemoaning the fat on their slight frames. This, you need to get over this. This isn't about you. This is about them. So try not to just think that everything is about you and you would be fine. 100 pounds lighter than our own, yeah. Bemoaning the fat on their slight frames, 100 pounds lighter than our own. If they're 100 pounds lighter, then you're really, really big. Like, try to think of that as a little bit of a reality check, okay? 100 pounds is a lot. I can't believe she wrote that, like as if it was not a big deal. Professors penchant for using obesity as a metaphor for capitalism and excess. Yeah, well, a lot of people are irritated by a lot of professors, so join the club. Our bodies were always unwelcome, a stand-in for some pandemic or a terrifying future. I don't think that this would be that different in college or out of college. Like, I don't think that that matters. Okay, anyways. In the face of all that, we made a radical decision. We decided to like each other, and we decided to like ourselves. Okay. We became two of the few fat people who no longer feared our own skin. That was such reckless joy in our time together, or there was such reckless joy in our time together, such fearlessness in our hearts. We learned of our thirst for understanding only as we slaked it. This was when I learned to love and admire bright and shining fat people, the ones who vibrated with joy, who refused to reject their bodies as character flaws or moral failings. I'm sorry. It's like, okay. This is my question for you, Aubrey. Could you consider that somebody would go to college and maybe learn and think about something or have a different realization than you or view things in a different way than you? Like maybe you can experience the same things, but come to a different conclusion. Like, is that possible for you in your mind to consider? That maybe somebody else would have a different point of view or a different reaction or understanding of the same events or the same ideas. I don't think Aubrey can understand that. Because for me, as an example, when I started trying to go out more, when I started trying to live life more and go on adventures and do things and get to know people and learn things and not be a freaking like hothouse flower that I was. Like I hated that about myself. I hated how I was so sensitive about everything all the time. Like it was just awful. And a lot of times it was kind of glamorized, at least like in American culture at the time. It was very glamorized to be that way, but it was so miserable. Like I hated it. So a lot of what I did, I wanted to desensitize myself because I was too sensitive. And so as I was doing all that, like I started to see what an issue the weight was because it would get in the way of so many different things. And so, I started having some conflicting feelings when I started going out a lot because it kind of like when you put yourself in an uncomfortable situation, this is probably true for anybody. When you put yourself in an uncomfortable situation or when you do something that's outside of your comfort zone, basically, you tend to see where the cracks are. Like you see what is going on or where the weak points are. And so it was in those years, like primarily, my first 2 or 3 years of college where I was developing an awareness of my ED. And I would say by around 2014, I knew I had it, but I couldn't tell anybody. But I knew. So it's like I may have never realized it had I not been living and seeing how much the weight was affecting me. So the point is, I can see in my mind that somebody could go through a very similar experience to me and decide to be fat acceptance and decide to reject any kind of reason or health concern or anything and just go down a black hole, deep end, crazy town. Like I can understand going through what I went through. I can understand how Aubrey became Aubrey. Aubrey chose to stay a hothouse flower. I chose not to. And that's essentially what happened. So she developed an idea that the world should change for her. I developed an idea that I should change for the world. And some people, they go on one side or the other of that issue. But it is an important question, especially around that age, I would say, because it can determine a lot about your life. And like I said, it led to my awareness of what was going on because I didn't really know before. I just thought I was addicted to food. That was my narrative, like in high school. But it wasn't that. So it's a little different. But anyways, the point is, can you imagine going through the same experience and somebody coming out differently on the other side? Because I certainly can. I can. I feel like me and Aubrey were like the foils of each other. Like it's very strange. It's super, super, super strange. Anyways, okay. Okay. The ones who resisted diet talk, the conscientious objectors to bemoaning their thunder thighs and bingo wings, their rolling bellies and wide hips, the ones who wore clothing that was bright and tight or billowing and dark, whatever they felt like wearing, the ones who happily, loudly loved their size, the ones who were becoming. These, I learned, were my people. Yeah, and I never, ever thought that they were my people. For me, if I ever saw something like that, I probably would have just cringed horrifically, and that basically would have been it. Like, I would have been like, ugh, you know? But I was more like, I liked hanging out with cool people. Sorry, I know that that's harsh, but I'm keeping it real. You know, I'm just saying. So to me, this is going to sound really harsh, but as a 20-year-old, if I were to see people acting like what she's saying, I would have just said, oh my God, they're losers. That's what I would have thought. I would have been like, oh my God, what a loser. What a fucking loser. That's how I would have thought of the person. Because it's like, ew, cringe, gross, wow, what the hell, right? And so to me, that never would have been a moment where I'd have been like, these are my people. I'd been like, ugh, you know, ugh. When we returned for our sophomore year, my friend told me the pressure had become too much. Okay. She feared her partner's shame, feared more bullying from her tough love parents, feared the jeering her thinner friends had to endure when they spent time with her. So she got weight loss surgery. Oh my gosh. So I love how there's like no possible like nuance or health questions, anything. It's only like this person only got weight loss surgery for other people. This is a huge thing within fat acceptance, is this idea that like, and again, this is actually, it's somewhat mainstream. You know, like I love to use Eric's experiences because he's extrovert and he goes out all the time. So I will steal his stories and share them with you guys. But it's like, I remember this one time he went on this date and this guy, like, just, you know, a gay guy, like, I think even in the gay world, I don't know if it happens in the straight world. You guys can let me know. But anyways, he was talking to this guy and the guy was like talking to him. And Eric was saying how he goes to the gym and how he does this and that and whatever and how he stays in shape. And the guy was like, well, you only do that for other people. And I remember Eric telling me about it and he was just like, what the hell? Like, as if this guy, first of all, he's like, this guy probably wouldn't even have talked to me if I wasn't in shape. He's like, I'm not dumb. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Because I think I said that too. I was like, this is so weird. So I don't know. Like I feel like a lot of fat acceptance beliefs, there are things that people in society, in America anyways, they just say, but they don't even believe it. It's so weird. It's so bizarre to me. But I don't know. I don't know, you guys. This is where it comes from, is what I'm trying to say. It's a fat acceptance idea. So if you guys ever are like that and you're like, people go to the gym just because they want other people to like them, know that that's a fat acceptance idea in your mind. Anyways, I told her I was happy for her, and I was. That's a lie, Aubrey. You're such a liar. She'd made a decision about how to engage with her own body. This is such a lie. You guys know this is a lie. We often talked about how often our bodies were taken from us, from unsolicited diet advice to fat calling. Oh my gosh. From unwelcome comments about our orders at restaurants to bullying in the name of concern. Thinness was the only way she could truly end all of that. Oh my gosh. Okay. I don't think I ever thought of it this way. For me, the only time that I would think of it as like a huge thing of like trying to please another person is in dating. That's where I would think of it. But I wasn't pursuing anything at all at 20, you know? So it had really nothing to do with it. It was more so like I was uncomfortable. I was ill. I was fearing death. I was really worried about, like, I was really, really depressed, which now I see that a lot of it was physically rooted as well. I was very anxious, which is also very physically rooted in terms of hypothyroidism. I was very people pleaser. That was during my people pleasing era, which I talked about, I think, with Life After Losing. It lasted about 4 years. I was people pleasing from like 2009 to 2013, and it almost killed me. It's horrible. I couldn't do it. I tapped out in 2014. I did. I was like, I'm over it. I don't care what anyone else thinks, and I'm doing whatever the hell I want. And that was basically what happened. And then, like I said, everyone hated me after that. So it is what it is, I guess. But I'm just saying, like, that was that era when I was trying to do all that. And a lot of times I would eat because I was trying to people please. So I don't know. Like, I can't imagine weight loss. I remember like in 2013, I had this conversation with somebody, and I was like, I'm so scared of losing weight because what if I become mean? And the guy I was talking to, which I guess I can just tell you guys, it was my first love. And he's like, you're not going to become mean just because you lose weight. Like, he's like, that doesn't make any sense, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I don't know. I think I just knew. I think I knew deep down because, I don't know, I just knew. I could tell. But I worried about it. I worried, because I was scared of like everyone hating me and becoming persona non grata and all those things. But then I just did it anyways, and I was just still fat. So it didn't matter, I guess. So I will just tell you guys, like, if you ever have ideas like that, just know that if you really are scared of being mean or a douchebag or a bitch or something, if you lose weight, you already are one. Like, let's just call a spade, like, you already are one. Or like, if you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so scared I'm going to be like a huge whore if I lose weight, you're already a whore. Like, stop, like, don't be fake, because it's like fakeness. And I think that's one of the things that I hate so much about fatness, especially in terms of like fat acceptance or ED logic, is this idea that being fat is who you really are. Or it's the real you, or it's a real body, or it's a real body type. It's not. Especially from a super morbidly obese place, the amount of effort it takes, and money and time and eating and lack of activity and all these things that it takes to actually maintain, especially like somebody who's over 100 pounds overweight or 200 pounds overweight. It is ridiculous to say that that is real. It's not real. And again, even in other cases where there are hormone issues, there has to be a severe hormonal pathology to get to be really big. It's not real. That's not real. It's not really you. And like I said, all that happened anyways is I just became the huge bitch that I already was when I was younger. And I was just a fat bitch, basically. And it didn't matter. Like, now I know if I continue to lose weight, I'm not going to become any meaner than I already am. I mean, I think it would be kind of hard, but I'm not going to. Like, I would love to take the challenge, but no, I'm just kidding. No, that's terrible to say, but I mean, I'm being slightly facetious, but I'm just saying, like, I don't know. I'm not fake anymore. So it's like, I'm not going to sit here and like be totally different just because I lost weight. I think the only thing that might change, oh, never mind. I was going to say is maybe I'd be a little bit more hoary, but I'm not a whore, so I'm never going to be one, like, I'm not interested in that. But I just mean, like, I might be like more sexual, I guess. Maybe that would change. I could see that. I could see myself, if I lost weight, dressing more sexy at times, or like kind of flaunting that part of myself a lot more. That I could see changing, but all it would do is just serve the bitchitude that was already there. It would just really get the whole thing, the whole package all together. It would bring it all together. It would bring it all home. you know? Um, like I would love to feel confident in my body. I'm not. I don't. And I'm not trying to be like ED logic-y or anything. It's just I'm not confident, and I don't like that. And I'm not saying that I'm ever going to be like, airbrush supermodel body or anything. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is like, I'm not happy with where I'm at. And so all I could think is I probably would just be happier. I might even be a little bit less of a bitch, to be honest. But it's like, I don't know. That's such a thing. I feel like I'm really going off on tangents. I'm sorry, you guys. But these are the things that Aubrey makes me think about when I read Aubrey. It's just crazy. Point is, people do not lose weight just for other people. That is the dumbest thing ever. That's all I'm trying to say. Basically, if anything, it can be the opposite. People stay fat because of other people. That's my point. I'm sorry I went off on a long thing, but that's basically what I was trying to say there. Anyways, but her body wasn't the only thing that changed. Oh my God, here we go. Are you ready? ED logic alert. Let's go, Aubrey. Okay, but her body wasn't the only thing that changed. As she lost weight, so much more fell away. She gushed over her new straight-sized clothing and relished the femininity she was now allowed by those around her. You know what's so funny about this? I think this has to do with your brain healing. Because for me, I'm still fat. And I feel like I have started to embrace my femininity more. And I feel like my femininity is like more allowed, quote unquote. It's not really allowed, but it's seen in others, and like especially in the dating world or romantic world or whatever. Like I feel so much more accepting of my femininity and so much more like happy with it because my brain is better now after having lost weight and getting hypothyroidism under control and these types of things, especially after last year when I did all that hormonal work too. It was horrifying. It was horrible. So I talked all about it. But in my health playlist, if you guys are interested, you can kind of see all that stuff. But I just, these days, especially now for some reason, like maybe it's just hitting me as I'm getting better, but it's like I feel so much more comfortable in my femininity now than I ever have in my entire life. And I think it's because I'm healthier. So that's probably what it was. It was probably that she was healthier, so she was able to be who she truly is. There's nothing wrong with being masculine or feminine or whatever it is that you are, any mix of it. What matters is that you are what you truly are, and you don't have to put on an act, or you don't have to try to be anything, because who you are doesn't take effort. It doesn't take effort to be who you are, I don't have to feel like I have to keep certain things up, or I have to try to harden myself or try to do certain things. I don't feel that way anymore. It doesn't matter. So I feel like you find who you are, because also like within obesity, your hormones are all out of whack. So they kind of come back to their core, and you can just be who you are. And that's the point. But anyways, according to Aubrey, she's losing herself, okay? No, she's just finding herself. If anything, it's the opposite. Her attention drifted to thinner friends, probably because she had different lifestyle expectations. She probably couldn't just sit and eat it all the time like you, Aubrey. So she's going to want to do other stuff. She grew out her hair and dyed it. At her thinnest, she started talking about how much she hated her thighs, even at the smallest they'd ever been. Yeah, I don't know. That's not great. So you got one criticism there, Aubrey, where I agree with you. Good for you, I guess. That was how I lost her. She disappeared into the warm sunlight of thinness. Oh my gosh. Aubrey, if you really feel that way, like, do you realize you're promoting it? You need to just put Aubrey on blast every day. Gosh, she is like the most, she promotes it probably more than anybody. She's so unself-aware. The warm sunlight of thinness. No, I would change this to health. It's so much better to be healthier. It's so much better. I'm telling you guys, like, bitch, nice, people pleaser, or not, extrovert, introvert, douchey, or academic, whatever you are, it's so much better to be healthy. Like, it's so much better to be healthier. It doesn't matter, honestly. Like, nothing else matters, basically. In the sense of, like, the obesity issue. It's just healthier. I don't know. Anyways, I returned to the role I knew best, the fattest student in class. And I learned the quiet heartbreak of losing someone who truly understood what it meant to live in a body like mine. Oh my gosh. You are a psycho, Aubrey. This is like toxic. Like, why are you so controlling of other people? It's disgusting. Like, why are you making her weight loss about you? It's not necessary. I can just assure you guys, nobody in my life would ever do that to me, would make my weight loss about them, because if they would, it would not go over well and it would be just a huge blowout fight pretty much immediately. Because I'm a yeller sometimes. And it's like, that's all it would be. Like, I would immediately say, like, hell no. But I don't really have friends or, people in my life that are like that. So that would never happen. But I did at the time I was, I did at the time when I was younger. I did. So it's like, I wonder if Aubrey's trying to create like a shame bubble or like a shame block. She's trying to shame weight loss with this and trying to use that enforcement tactic on other fat people. It is so toxic. But just realize, you guys, like, she's trying to control you. She's trying to control people and keep them from losing weight. It's horrifying. There's a quiet adjustment of expectations that comes with being very fat. You learn that you're unlikely to be welcomed where your body can be seen in sports, acting, sales, communication, politics. Sports, it makes sense because you're not going to be as athletic. Acting, it makes a little bit less sense, but depends on the role. So it really is dependent on that. But also there's a lot of long hours and stuff. Like, you have to be able to keep up. Sales, that's probably just like a BS thing where it's just image focused. Communications, I don't know about that. In politics, there's a lot of fat people that are political, so I don't agree with that one. You might apply for a restaurant job as a server and be offered one as a dishwasher. You might audition for a play and be redirected to join the crew. Yeah, well, plays and stuff, that's totally role-based, so it really depends on the role. This, it depends. Some restaurants, yes. So it really depends. You'd have to see. But again, these are physically demanding jobs. Like, being a server is a physically demanding job. Like, I think that Aubrey doesn't acknowledge that there's any physical issues with being obese. Sometimes people tell you kindly, sometimes cruelly. Sometimes you find out by seeing another fat person rejected in public. Sacrifice is an object lesson. But no matter where you go, someone is always there to teach you a mandatory lesson. That your body, or that your success will always be contained by others' willingness to see your body. Okay, I don't know. That doesn't even make sense. Like, does she not realize that there's literally people that work in radio, or like, I don't know. I see so many YouTube channels where people are just like, it's just their voice and they have like a character or something. It's like, that person's body is not involved in their success. Like, it's so easy to just like pierce through what she's saying, because there are a lot of different circumstances where it would be kind of irrelevant. Like, even if you were like a phone sex operator, people wouldn't see your body. They just hear your voice. It's like, get a grip, Aubrey. Okay, anyways, in recent years, a handful of fat people have slowly but surely chipped away at the stone walls. Sorry, this is so ridiculous. Sorry. Okay. Get it together. Okay. In recent years, a handful of fat people have slowly but surely chipped away at the stone walls faced by fat people who want to be seen, who want to ascend to the heights normally reserved for those who have earned visibility through thinness. Okay. Gosh, you guys, like, I don't think Aubrey realizes that putting thinness on a pedestal is ED behavior. Like, she's giving ED logic here, because you shouldn't put it on a pedestal. It's great. It's fine. It's wonderful to be thin. I don't have many complaints about it, but it isn't everything. It's not like if you become thin, your whole life is ahead. Like, everything is better immediately. It's like most of it has to do with, as my friend Lisa says, like being more visually attractive or being healthier, honestly. Those two things do a lot more for you than just being thin. If you were thin but you were super unhealthy, you still would struggle. And I hate to say it, but if you were thin and you were super ugly, you also would probably still struggle. So I don't think Aubrey sees that. Like, she's just so obsessed with the obesity thing. And again, it's giving ED, but that's where it's like, I'm past that logic in my mind, right? So I can see the full picture of it, and I can see, okay, it's more so this and that, and it's all these layers of nuance. But I would say first and foremost, it has to do with being healthier. You're able to work more hours. You're able to do more. Like, I can be way more productive now than a year ago. It's amazing. So I think that that's a huge part of it. And then success comes with that, because you just have more opportunities and you can do more things, basically. So you always want to be as healthy as you can, because it's a very valuable resource to have. And quite frankly, not everybody has it. And so you shouldn't take it for granted. And you should do your best to maintain it. Anyways, okay. Here we go. In recent years, I already read that. Okay. As an adult, I've seen two women my size become household names: actor Gabby Ray Sidibe and plus-size designer Ashley Nell Tipton. To me, as a fat woman, these two had been not just breaths of fresh air, but indicators that more might be possible. That people who look like me could find their way into places we weren't expected, and often weren't welcomed. That people who look like me belonged in front of the camera just as much as behind it. It is extraordinarily rare to look up to someone with a body like mine. It is rare for those women to be lifted up in media. That moment of seeing and knowing bodies like mine in media became a fleeting one. Sidibe and Tipton both announced this year that they'd had weight loss surgery. Some, mostly thin body positive activists, have congratulated Sidibe and Tipton for what they see as positive choices to benefit their health. Others, mostly fat activists, have responded with frustration or anger at losing two of the very few fat people who have ascended such great heights. These losses cut deep, not because of their individual decisions about their own bodies, but because it reminds fat people of how we're seen and often how we're forced to see ourselves, the ways we are expected to sacrifice our bodies for the comfort of those around us. I am reminded of all of that and of what it means to lose someone you've loved and looked up to, the familiar drift of formerly fat friends into thinness. I'm bracing myself for the crash. Oh my gosh. You do realize you could lose weight together too. That's what I'm doing with some of my friends. Gosh, I wouldn't just let my friend just be in fatness like that. I don't know. It's awful. I'm not the type to be like, I got out, F you. I don't care about you anymore. Like, I'd be more like, I got out, like, hello, get out. You know, basically, that would be more so my approach. Probably would annoy a lot of people, but again, that's where there can be some benefits to being friends with a bitch, you know? Anyways, that was super cringy. There's, again, absolutely no acknowledgement of health in regard to obesity. It's all image focused, which is super ED. It's not rooted in reality. It's like all up in the air. That's how you can tell. That's like kind of like, I'll give you guys that as like a red flag of ED logic. Like, is it all in the air? Is it all about image? Is it all about, you know, if I get thin, then everyone will like me? I think that, like I said, it's more about attraction and it's more about health. It's really those two things if you're going at it from like a purely people-pleasing thing, because people are just, I don't know, and they kind of go hand in hand. Like, even the health aspect, health tends to make you more attractive, and being more attractive tends to get people to like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, or tends to help with other people, if that makes sense. So I don't know. It just all goes together, honestly. Like, but the point is, it's not just the thinness in and of itself is my thing. And to me, to make it focused on weight is ED, because it's not just weight. You can lose weight and dress really frumpy and have your hair look like crap all the time. And, you know, you could dress really ugly, for example, or put really ugly makeup on. And you would probably still be treated the same, if that makes sense, or sometimes even worse. So it just depends. It's nuanced. I don't like the shoehorning of it into the obesity issue. And I think that she wrote this article to try to enforce people to stay fat. And I think it's really toxic. So that's basically my ending statement here. Let's not encourage this kind of logic. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys liked it. I will talk to you guys again very soon. And also, just a reminder quickly at the end, please, if you're interested in memberships, please remember to leave me a comment about what you're interested in seeing or what would be a perk that you would want or something like that. I just would really like feedback before I launch. Thank you so much, you guys. I will talk to you guys later. Have a good rest of your day, night, whatever. Peace. Bye.